Welcome back to Appalachian Dim Sum.
Where this week, Ghost in the Shell is our comfort food.
That's right. Well, episode 3 and 4.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
it's been a long-running comfort food for us as we've been talking about a lot of Ghost in the Shell properties, but we're watching the 2026 series. Did you say you finally found a title? Is it called?
It seems like they're calling it Ghost in the Shell Complete.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been calling it just Ghost in the Shell 2026, but we're watching a couple episodes at a time and working our way through them, covering at least 2 at a time. I think there's maybe 6 of them out right now.
Yeah, there's
5 or 6.
Today is a Thursday, so yeah, one came out last night.
Okay.
Yeah. But one of the things I did was I got my copy of Ghost in the Shell, the complete classic manga. It's a 1 volume that's fully compiled, and we talked about last time about how there's some surprisingly adult content in the I think it was episode 2.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, well, that's also in the manga. Yeah. And so I looked that up.
Some of it was way more surprisingly adult
in the manga,
and some of the manga, but it didn't get released over in this part of the world, at least that way.
Right. This version that I have does not have that scene. It does have her at the taking a vacation day on the yacht, but it doesn't go into detail what she's doing.
Not as a XXX movie scene.
Now, I was really curious about that because you told me about it. I looked it up and I was like, wow, this is very adult. And I looked into, because the first thing I thought was like, well, is this just like something that he made that at some point he showed to people? Yeah. Like, we all know about how Disney has a vault where like all these official Disney artists throughout the years have drawn like X-rated cartoons and stuff, and they just like hide it away. Yeah. They're like, okay, you guys got that out of your system. We're not going to show that to anybody. I was thinking that it was like that sort of thing. It was just this extra little thing he did to blow off some steam or whatever. But no, it was a part of the actual manga. Yeah. And so I was thinking, it was like, okay, well, what publication was producing this and allowing this? And from what I can tell, the type of publication that Ghost in the Shell was originally in was very much like here in America, Heavy Metal.
Okay.
So it was an adult oriented comic magazine.
Sort of like what were those things that were around when I was growing up? Was it like I don't think it was a GQ, but it was some kind of it was like in a magazine for men. And there's always like things about articles in there about eating healthy and building muscle. Yeah. But like if you actually got one and flipped around, which I found out being a teenager,
yeah,
that there would be naked ads and stuff in it. And
well, those kind of things I always put them alongside like Cosmopolitan.
Yeah,
like women had the women's magazines and their men's magazines.
Yeah.
I can't really think of any other publication aside from Heavy Metal from like the 80s, which Heavy Metal, I think I've told you this, Heavy Metal started back up.
Yeah.
They have like 4 issues out now. And the Heavy Metal was known for their risque content.
Yeah.
And you had the film. That was
probably
big deal.
Why it became popular is because it had that, or it focused on that kind of content.
Yeah.
But seems to be the ongoing debate or conversation around this series is that some people are like, well, this is too childish, it's kind of goofy. And they're always like, well, if you read the manga, this is how the manga is. And then my response is, I didn't read the manga, so okay.
Well, even looking through the manga, because we discussed how I haven't read the manga and I was holding off until afterwards. Just flipping through it to just kind of like look at the art and see how the art matches up.
It looks pretty 1-to-1.
It does look 1-to-1, but there is a certain aesthetic that the animation has, that Ghost in the Shell Complete has, that I don't know if it's actually from this. It's like
that was completely Science Saru.
Yeah,
in the manga, where it's
100%
much more vibrant
and like just the. I actually have one of the pieces art up here. This scene right here, I saw people complaining about how like Motoko will kind of get giddy over like gold or something like that, or a case full of money. Like in the manga, yeah, she kind of starts to go for it, and she gets reprimanded, but it's not zany like it is in this. And I definitely think you're right. I think that is the Science Sorrow touch.
Yeah. You can come back towards the people that kind of know the other Ghost in the Shell properties and being like, well, that's the way it is in the manga. That doesn't change the way that I watch the show.
Yeah.
To just know that, yeah, this is kind of goofy and kind of weird, but I have to like it because it's like the way it was in the manga. I don't like it as much as the previous things because I like the darker tone of the stuff that I don't say grow up with because I didn't watch anime or
how
manga.
how it was introduced to you.
You know, early 2000s is when I first started watching anything that was anime related. So I was out of college at that point, so I didn't grow up by any means with it. But as I kind of got into that, Ghost in the Shell became one of my favorite properties because I've said it before, we've talked about it in other episodes, it really calls back to me like a cyberpunk Miami Vice. Like the Ghost in the Shell standalone complex especially does. Both of the animated movies are great. I love I love the action scenes in them, the way they don't waste your time with all this unnecessary action and like kind of chaos through stuff. I was just talking about like the last Airbender. We were talking about that in a previous episode about how chaotic that was. It's like the older Ghost in the Shell stuff saves it, and then when it brings it, yeah. And that's why I love stuff that builds like that. And I have a hard time paying attention to this one, and it's not because it's bad. It's just because it's different. It's not my
cup of tea.
It's not really the way I'm wired. I'm enjoying the series, but I wouldn't be putting this.
Do you think you'd be watching this if it wasn't Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah, I don't think I would stay with it honestly, because it's just. We're going to talk about episode 3 and episode 4. What I wrote at the top of episode 3 is this is a little bit of a philosophy episode. They do a lot of talking about sort of the theory behind AI and ghosts and all that stuff. But that's really kind of what the series is.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole series is a discussion of the philosophy behind the use of AI and when somebody stops being real and starts to be a machine, and vice versa. When does a machine actually feel like it's real? And
I do find it interesting how the Fuchikoma's in this. One of the things when I was watching first season of Gits is I was struck by how the end stinger from every episode, they had the Fuchikomas doing something goofy.
They're little Tachikomas.
Or the Tachikomas doing something goofy, which the whole reason of Tachikoma versus Fuchikoma is silly. But they had the Tachikomas doing something goofy, and that was almost like the comic relief for the episode.
Yeah.
And that feeling of those goofy stingers at the end of that's just the whole episode. That's kind of like
this series.
Yeah, that's the whole series.
Kind of makes that make more sense that they had that little goofy bit. That if it was all based off of a manga that was kind of written and illustrated that way, that they wanted to include it to appeal to the people that knew the manga. And I guess that's probably what those little end bits of the Tachikomas probably did. And you had a few funny things. What was that thing called? The Jameson model robot?
Yeah, that was in this, yeah.
But he was in the old series too. He was like that. He had like a big cowboy act. He talked like he was from Texas. He's like, howdy, partner.
But I still feel like it was played straight.
Yeah.
You know, like it seemed like they were taking it seriously.
Yeah, it wasn't as goofy as
this,
yeah.
But I pulled up a picture here. I'm going to show Joel. It's on page 66 of this, if you guys want to see it. But it has the two drivers when they just miss Batao. When Batao just misses them, when they're passing each other, when Batao's trying to get to the phone booth that the hacker used.
That the garbage guy.
Yeah. And you see where it's very cartoony.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I can kind of get. I mean, I understand the criticism of this is a little too zany for Ghost in the Shell, and while I do understand that people are like, well, it's closer to the manga. I understand that, but for 30 years, no one, and I mean no one, was complaining that the 1995 movie, the Ghost of the standalone complex, second season, or the live action movie weren't zany enough in compared to the manga. No one made that argument. So I don't think it's like automatically, well, it had to be zany because this is zany. I think it was just
a little. I don't know that it's virtue signaling, but whatever you want to call it to be. I know more about the series than you do. Signaling is kind of what that feels like to me.
Well, I think geek checking or geek cred check or whatever. Yeah. I think it's just a stylistic choice, and it was probably by Science Saru because this is more Science Saru. That's kind of like their thing.
When I see stuff like this page or even that page you're talking about with the guys, I see they had a deadline to get this into a magazine by Sunday night, and it was Sunday afternoon, and they're like, man, just draw like a little bubble face.
Yeah.
We ain't got time for that. And
I mean, like, look at this. That's about to. These guys are horrible.
It almost looks like it's like, yeah, we just didn't have time to come back and cover that. That was just plotting him out on the page. And I love the organic kind of feel of something like that. It's like, we have to get this episode out every once a week or whatever however they were doing these. It's like, that's all we could get done, sir.
Right. Well, there was I really think this episode shines the first like 5 minutes or so. That chase scene at the very beginning where Major is running on foot to try to catch up to, I don't know this guy's name, trying to catch the puppet, guy. The guy trying to catch up to the puppet. And when she launches out of the Fuchikoma and lands on the rooftop, just starts running on foot, the way she impacts. Every time I see her impact like that, I think of you. I'm like, Joel's gonna like that part. Yeah. Just because it does make her feel heavy. Yeah. And I also really like the use of the Fuchikomas in this because, like, they've been around, especially in the standalone complex.
Is the Fuchikoma a name from the book?
Or? Well, apparently, from what I understand, I think it's Fuchikoma in the book.
And they started calling them Tachikomas for the show or for the cartoon.
It was a rights issue. Somehow there was a rights issue because they're called Fuchikomas in the PlayStation 1 video game.
Okay.
And they're called Fuchikomas in this, and everything else is Tachikoma.
I gotcha.
So I don't know why they changed it, but let me see if I can see them.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a name from something older.
Like Google will help me here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this thing starts with picks up with pursuing. He's the ex-husband of the interpreter of the foreign minister, this garbage guy.
Okay.
And of course he's being puppeted. And they're, as kind of going back to the original series or original movie plot line, which I guess is again based on the book, where they're trying to find the identity of the puppet master. And you kind of come to find out through all of these that it's puppets puppeting other puppets.
Yeah. And this is very, very much obviously because the original 1995 film is an adaptation of this information or this manga. It makes sense that they're going along the same beats. But these scenes are very much the scene where she's like fighting him in like the field of water or the reservoir. I don't know exactly what that's supposed to be.
Just like a big, almost like the place they always end up in a car chase and in LA, those big drainage things.
So Fuchikoma is in the original manga. Tachikoma is when Production IG adapted the series into the standalone complex. They couldn't use the Fuchikoma design due to copyright and licensing conflicts.
Gotcha.
I don't know what those are. It seems weird that you could like literally adapt the entire thing, except you can't use this name for these spider tanks. That's so weird.
Some guy that got fired or didn't get to come along was like, oh, I named that.
And the redesign, because they have almost like a barrel butt, and then the Tachikomas are like taller.
Yeah.
That redesign is to facilitate the renaming.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it before when we talked about episode 1 and 2. Like in this, they have like this almost little cat mouth. Even though they're supposed to be robots, they've got this little
organic looking cat mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the so far it seems like the personalities, and the arc seems to be very similar to what they were in the standalone complex. They're starting to like talk to each other and make plans and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of two things going on at once here, and we were talking about this before we started filming. That this episode 3,
hmm
is actually Junk Jungle
Plus.
number 2
Yeah.
plus Megatech
Yeah.
1 and 2. So they're like little segments. Like we're assuming they're chapters. I'm assuming they're
And
chapters from the book.
I've got them right here, and that's exactly what it is. Is the titles of these episodes are from the chapters from the book,
Yeah.
because there is a Megatech machine, which is where the robots are just starting their revolt.
Yeah.
It's just them all talking to each other, and that's literally it. It's like 2 pages, and then there's Megatech Machine 2. So I think that's probably how they're going to do it, because the next, which is episode 5 is Robot Rondo.
Oh, episode 4.
Episode 4 is Robot Rondo. That's chapter 6 in the book.
Okay.
So they are, I mean, they seem to effectively be using the manga as storyboards. That really seems to be what they're doing.
It makes it a little harder to watch because this was one episode, but it really was 3 different things.
Yeah.
It was the conclusion of chasing this garbage guy down, trying to find the identity of the puppet master. They were spying on this Colonel Malas, or however you say Males, of the Gavel Republic, and him being involved in a plot to frame the Gavel Republic for assassinating a foreign minister.
Yeah.
So
a lot of political stuff.
a lot of political stuff that doesn't seem that important, but it seems like it's got that extra level of detail behind it. It's like you feel like you should know more, but you don't really. They really never give it to you.
I mean, I think it's real. It's just kind of showing
It's just that there's
what
this
Section 9 is doing.
There's just this international conspiracy intrigue that they're involved. They're in the middle of, and they think that he's this Malice or Males, whatever his name is meeting with the puppet master, but you find out that even the people that he's meeting with are just being puppeted by the puppet master. So it's kind of sort of a chasing your tail around story there. And then it switches over to, I guess that's the Megatech Part 1, where the Tachikomas, it kind of gets into that plot line from Standalone Complex, where they start talking about whether or not they should overthrow the humans and whether they should revolt and all robots come together. And I guess Part 2 of that other Megatech Part 2 is where she sees one of her friends getting a new cyborg body being made.
And that's kind of where they go into like what the ghost is, or they start talking about like what the ghost is and the interplay of the body and the ghost.
Yeah, and even like, I don't know that it's Section 9 does it, but like she's there, or part of what she has to do is she's governing and monitoring the installation of ghost into these cyborg bodies, I guess, to make sure that it's done up to regulations or something. I don't know.
Is it like I kind of felt it was more like she was there to support her friend kind of thing, not that she did it for everybody. It was her friend, so she wanted to make sure it was.
Yeah, I can tell if it was like that was part of what they're tasked with doing is
Yeah.
they have to oversee whatever regulations are involved in this process. And she was impressed by, I guess, the way the technology is already advanced past her being made, that her friend came out with hair already, because they dipped the cyborg body down into the skin
goo,
and it comes out and the hair is already there. And she was like, wow, like
that's impressive.
They didn't do that when they made me.
They talked about how like the material they use for the skin is like thinner or whatever. Like it's a more advanced version of the material that was used for her.
Yeah.
It's wild to think, because I do think this is touching on some things that humanity will someday be contending with the idea of artificial limbs and bodies and stuff like that, and the idea of treating our bodies like we treat computers now.
Yeah,
it's going to be a wild world.
Yeah, you definitely get more into that with episode 4 with the robot Rondo.
Yeah, and I did like how one of the things that this series is doing that I am quite enjoying is I feel like it's getting a little more into the personal lives and the group dynamic of Section 9, because that was one of the things I said about the Standalone Complex is there were parts where you got to see Section 9 interact with one another. Yeah. But for the most part, it was like Major and Batou. It was those two. And the other people were just...
Through all of the properties, like Togus is permanently a rookie.
Yeah, yeah.
And
maybe we'll see him grow in this.
Well, in this one, you see he and Batou kind of button heads and conflicting a lot.
Yeah.
And kind of nice to see him get to be something other than, I'm mostly human and I'm a rookie.
Yeah.
But
I liked how she was messing with Togusa about her getting hurt. That's that image I got up here where she's kind of picking on him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you thought I was hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, this is also the episode you're talking about how in the manga some of the art you're like, well, they might have just had a deadline. I saw that people were critical of there was a 3-second segment on the foot chase where it kind of went sketched, like the art was just sketch art.
I remember something. There's a couple times like that.
Yeah.
Even like they'll go to a scene sometimes where it says like confidential. There's like a black screen up,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're still talking in the background,
Mhm.
but they're not showing it to you. It's like, I
Do
was
they
curious
run
if
out
that
of
was.
time or?
I was curious whether that had anything
Yeah.
to do with the manga or if that was just them trying to be funny and tongue in cheek. Or
Well, they also have the. I've mentioned this before. They also have the mid episode like credits,
Yeah.
not credits, but commercial breaks.
Yeah.
I really like that. I like that halfway through the episode they're going to put something up to signify, all right, we're going to commercial.
Yeah.
That's just something I didn't realize I missed from. We were talking about like in the Last Airbender where they insert stuff from the previous series just as like, hey, you remember that?
Yeah.
I kind of felt that for this is like they had this. They don't do commercials, but they framed it as if they did.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I was tickled by
I
that.
wish we could get that. I wish we could get like it broadcast here on Prime or whatever with Japanese commercials in the middle of it.
Oh, that'd be great.
Instead of progressive,
Progressive.
the old guy telling you how stupid your parents are. Like,
my wife hates that commercial. She hates it. And there's a new commercial on that I've seen. I don't know if you've seen that. It annoys me so bad. Is the guy's he's playing a video game. He's like, haha, I'm not going to follow the speed limit. And then he gets stopped. Have you seen this one?
I don't think I have.
Oh, it's so annoying.
I just blocked it out.
Well, you remember back like in the 90s, they had commercials about like driving drunk and stuff like that. It's not worth it. And they're treating speeding like they were treating driving drunk back then. Because like the guy's speeding. Oh, what do you mean? I lost my job. I lost my girlfriend. I'm going to jail. I'm like, what? For speeding? If you're reckless driving and speeding,
they're setting you
too
up
much.
to
Sure.
have your phone is going to be monitoring your driving.
That's why it annoys me because I'm like they're overreaching. But anyway,
you drive down the road and there's going to be a ticket just shoots out of a slot and your thing hits you in the face and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I got a ticket. I got a ticket recently from one of those cameras.
Oh yeah.
I was so frustrated. I was like, you know what? Because what I usually do is way off topic. Doesn't matter. What I usually do is I get in the left lane because the right lane's always either slower or just at the speed limit. And I'm like, I want to go a little faster. So I get in the left lane, and my car has that adaptive cruise control.
Yeah.
So I just set it high and just follow the guy in front of me. So I was going like 11 over, and I was following the guy right in front of me because I saw the little video. I'm like, I guarantee that's what was happening, and he probably got a ticket too.
Yeah.
So from now on, I'm not paying any more speeding tickets. I'll sit in the slow lane. That's what I'm going to do from now on. They've trained me. They've zapped me, and I said, okay, I won't go outside of those boundaries anymore.
Definitely a discussion for another day, but there should be some legal pushback to that.
Yeah.
There's lots of issues with radar and being able to assign readings to cars that those things are not capable of doing.
I definitely I'm of the mind of like, you should catch me, not a camera. If you catch me speeding, okay, I'm speeding. Yeah. But just a camera, come on.
Radar continues until it hits something. And that's why visual observation is such an important part of issuing speeding tickets, is that you could literally be getting a reading for a tractor trailer truck that's a mile behind you. And if you can't visually tell that this car is going about that fast, then you should not be pulling up.
I definitely think like just a little 3-second clip they sent me, you can't tell I'm going that fast. It's just, I'm just going.
I have sat because I wanted to see if it was possible in a curve where you have guardrails and got readings on people before they ever came into sight.
Because it bounced off the guardrail.
The radar would get enough reflection around the guardrail and get back to the radar. It wasn't always a clear signal. That's part of radar too, is the audio part and what quality of the signals coming back. But we could go into an hour-long discussion on that. But
back to Ghost of the Shell. But I guess going back to what I was trying to say is I really liked the end scene where she was like she was at the cafe having drinks with her girlfriends.
Yeah.
I like seeing this part of Motoko.
Yeah. Yeah, number 4, Robot Rondo.
Robot
kind of
Rondo.
as a more focused episode. Because this one was kind of a little bit of everything. Number 3 was.
Number 3 was
Just
t-
little pieces of story.
little pieces of story that was, I would say, mostly in the Ghost in the Shell movie from '95 and some of the standalone complex. Mm-hmm. This Robot Rondo was Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence. Like this is what Innocence was based off of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're investigating androids that go mad and attack anybody that they see. And then there's a whole sort of plague of this going on. But then there's also, they found in a couple of them, SOS messages written on their cyber brains, like literally the letters SOS written in blood. And they're like, there's something happening. Somebody's trying to get a message to us. But there's also a ton of other androids. I say a lot of them are whatever. I hate to say the word sex bot, but I guess that's what they are.
That's what they are. What term did they had a term for them in Innocence?
Like partner bots or something. That wasn't the right word, but it was something kind of closer to that. Like company bots or accompaniment bots or something. But because like those models are being changed all the time and mass produced and people's tastes are changing.
Gynoids.
Yeah.
That's almost worse.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But these robots are going crazy out of desperation because they're being discarded very quickly after being created for something newer, and they're just kind of getting tossed aside. So they say, they're being thrown out, and they're talking about it's like they're kind of experiencing the death of their spirits, which is kind of getting back into the whole philosophy thing is like, do these things have any real sentience or any of that kind of stuff? And
I'm looking at the opening scene right now. The guy with the golf at his golf course.
Yeah.
This is what they adapted this from. They really Science Horror really took liberty on that. I mean, it's a successful adaptation of this, but they really did put their flavor in.
Yeah.
I think it was a beautiful scene. I think it was a great way to start the story for this.
Yeah, they definitely make, which compared to what I'm seeing here anyway, Science Horror makes the ones that go crazy, they kind of make them look a little bit more
like a cat.
Ghoulish.
Yeah.
A little vampire teeth.
Yeah.
And their eyes kind of go like a cat, don't they?
Yeah, the pupils get real thin.
They change.
And they don't really have that in this. They got red eyes. They don't really go.
Well, there's one with.
Oh, there's one. Okay, yeah. Well, but I think Science Horror is kind of doing this thing where, like the first 5 minutes of the episode, they're going to give you something that's kind of like wild visually. They want to give you some titillation,
a little shock value
with some sort of action of some sort. Yeah.
And like I said, this really does kind of come into the Ghost in the Shell Innocence, the second movie storyline.
Yeah, this is definitely what it's adapted off of.
They go to the company Hanka Precision Instruments and try to find the shipping inspector, and while they're talking to him, he gets killed by the Yakuza. And then they have a pretty cool gunfight with the Yakuza guy. And then they interrogate him, which is kind of brutal because apparently there are not any real restrictions on interrogation. I think Batu's like prying his teeth out with a knife.
Yeah, but it's funny because, again, the style is kind of zany in this anime, and Batu has those zany qualities, but he's brutal, man. Yeah. He is brutal in this.
But they get the answers out of him, I guess, but don't know how many teeth were involved in that.
Yeah,
and learn about these kids were getting smuggled, and then the Yakuza was involved because their boss got attacked by one of the androids. So they were taking revenge on the company that sold them the bots. And then you find out that they were, they call it cloning the ghosts, or
cloning the ghosts of the kids.
Yeah. Of these, almost pubescent age girls.
Yeah. And, that's
12 to 14.
And that's a part of the horror of the concept is they are essentially putting the souls of these cloning the souls of these kids,
of innocent children.
That's why the second movie is called Innocence. Yeah. And putting them in these robots that's used for adult situations.
I think they even say that with the shipping guy when the shipping guy is kind of confessing stuff before he gets killed. He's like, I agreed to let them put the message on the robots, and then it kind of cuts off like what he says, but I think in exchange for letting me, I think he got to do something to them, or with them, to them, I guess is the right way. There's no consent of from any child that age. Um, that's dark.
Yeah,
I
it
will
really
say
it really
that.
is.
Um,
I didn't like, and I'm assuming it's probably because it's directly from the manga, but I didn't like when like toward the resolution, like when they found the kids, and they were like, "Hey, we're here to save you." How they had Batao was seemed overly concerned with like, do you realize the danger you put people in? And
man,
I was like, dude, you're saving them. Why are you admonishing them for what they did? That's kind of
yeah,
messed up. It seemed out of character, at least from the Batao that I've kind of come to expect.
yeah, yeah. The Batu and Togusa find the girls. They're sending out the messages,
Yeah.
rescue them. There's a bunch of like basically they're doing the same thing with the girls that were happening to these other companion bots.
Mhm.
Is that they were used them until like their ghosts were
They went and
they were deteriorated
they
and they were
like
just
broke.
and just
Yeah,
tossed it. And they showed one of the kids hooked up. And that should have been more horrific than it was. I guess that's kind of the bad thing about it
the
being sort
style.
of a goofy style of
Mhm.
animation. It's like it's an actual kid that's sitting there had like tubes in her eyes and her mouth, and it
Yeah.
was like, man, but
That I would say that is a side effect of the animation style.
yeah,
It is more horrific in Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence. This storyline
yeah,
is feels a lot more uncomfortable.
yeah. It's a
It,
storyline that's like the Accountant 2 or oh the what's the movie about the guy that goes and rescues all the kids that have been abducted? Like
I do not know.
Sound of Freedom or whatever that movie was called.
Oh, about the set like the past 2 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think Sound of Freedom is right. Let me
Those
see.
those stories should make you mad, and
Oh
this
yeah,
is kind of telling you the exact same story, and it
Sound of Freedom is right.
kind of doesn't really evoke the emotions of you because it's such a sort of a goofy, chaotic style of anime.
Yeah.
But I love, I guess it's earlier in the scene when they're in the car and they're driving through all the protesters. I love that conversation that's happening there. She's like, the I think it's Togusa says, not Togusa, uh, Major says, it's like the dead don't get rights, but these machines get their own lobbyists.
Yeah.
And then Batu's like, these idiots would let their own families get murdered as long as they get to be righteous about it. This is the only thing that any of them actually care about is themselves. I was like, there's some pretty on point commentary
Mm.
from the show.
I think a lot of times things that seem like um, timely and like it speaks to our current situation. It's like, well, it's speaking to just a human condition. It's something that's
I was
part of
curious whether
humanity.
that was actually in the manga,
Yeah.
if that conversation happened, or if that's something they kind of adapted for the series, because it seems like they're talking about something that happened last week in our
Right.
country instead of a manga from the 80s or early 90s or whenever this came out.
Well, we talked about in our when we talked about the standalone complex how it's so weird how applicable the story of standalone complex is to
Yeah,
modern times,
yeah.
almost prophetic. But we'll look up that we'll specifically look at that conversation. See
What
if it
was the one
is.
that we were talking about? The was that? And yeah, it was in the Laughing Man. We are talking about that, or he had to keep talking about the V word over and over and over.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. The
I think
Laughing
that's
Man.
why, like one
Yeah.
of our episodes, it seemed to get throttled because
We got like 3 views in a week.
we get like a I think we said the
That
forbidden words too many times in that episode. I was like, wow,
yeah,
YouTube kind of came down on us on that one.
yeah, that was amusing.
That was kind of funny.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, we've got such a massive following anyway. You got to make sure you silence us.
Right. Don't want the the masses to hear. But
The other line I had noted in this, I think it was at the end, because he's going back to talk to the big fat guy that was playing golf.
mhm.
That was somebody that like trained Aramaki when he was young. So he was like a mentor, and he's kind of implicated in testing out some of these companion bots
Right.
and stuff like that. And he's got charges coming his way. Aramaki was kind of breaking that to him, and I love. I forget how it came up in the conversation. He said, "Yeah, one of the main things I took away from my time with you is I always start by investigating the money and the women." And I was like,
Mhm.
that's almost like the what was the line from Good Luck Progress? It's only progress if it makes things better.
Yep.
If you wanted to start out like any kind of investigation class in like a police academy, start out by investigating the money and the
Women and
women.
women. Yep.
That's probably the motivation behind almost 90% of everything else that happens.
Seinfeld has a bit where he talks about the motivations for men. Like the motivation of all men is to get women. Why do men want power? Because it gives them women. Why do men want money? Because it gives them women. Why do we go to the moon? To see if there were women there. Why would you bring a little car unless there was a chance of going on a date? It's like, okay.
Yep.
So it's gonna be even odder, and that's what Ghost in the Shell kind of tries to explore, is how is that going to look when the women are artificial. Weird world we're getting into, and when this was made, it was just all future sci-fi. Hey, then here's some interesting ideas, and we're barreling down on this world very fast.
The prophecy that kind of came out of Japan about where the world is going through a lot of like products like this is really, I really find it difficult to believe it doesn't get more attention than it does. I mean, like sometimes they are, even in like the other Ghost in the Shell properties, they've laid down what our country will look like when it splits, and it's like,
it's a little on the nose.
It's like that's really, really accurate for where if it actually happened, where it would probably. It's like, how were they there in like 1980? It's like,
I don't know if it's something culturally or what Japan had gone through culturally after World War II. I don't know why, but kind of what you're talking about has been for a while a talking point in the video game space with Hideo Kojima with Metal Gear Solid. The stuff that he includes and the storylines he has in Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, like it came true. It almost prophetically came true with the way the governments control the media and the way the internet came about with social media and how they use it to distract us and stuff like that. So yeah, the Japanese seem to have their fingers on the pulse of American culture, or at least on the way American culture has grown.
I guess that's maybe we should like provide links or something. And every time we're talking about Ghost in the Shell, back to the movie we talked about in our previous episode with Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
Yeah.
Or there's literally a man coming back from the future trying to save us.
Yeah. Maybe it was literal.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying it. I'm along for the ride, and I think it's unlike the standalone complex. There's not a lot of investment in this.
Yeah.
Like with standalone complex, I kind of feel like you gotta sit down and you're gonna kind of study what you're watching. Oh. With this, it's so popcorn that while the themes are the same and everything, it's a little more saccharine.
I think one of the times I've rewatched these episodes a couple times to make sure I wasn't missing something.
Right.
One of the times I watched episode 3, I didn't realize the episode was over because that song that's in the credits started, and it was kind of similar to the theme of what the music and stuff that was happening in the scene right before that. See. And I literally kind of looked up. It's like,
it's done.
Oh, it's over. And it's like, wow, apparently I wasn't paying very much attention there. So I'm enjoying it too. It's just, it's different. It's not, I don't even want to say it's not my cup of tea. It's just it's not one that I'm really attaching myself to very as easily as I did to some of the other properties that they did.
It is a lot different. I am surprised. I've discussed about how I've talked to you about how this is definitely more along the kind of style of things I like, but it is very different. So I can totally understand someone who was a fan of Ghost in the Shell and watching this and be like, no, I don't like
One of the things I've sort of trained myself to do, and we learned this the hard way, was I would preview a few episodes of an anime before we'd ever watch it with the kids to see what was going on and where it went. And this is one of those ones, like 2 episodes into it, I've been like, no, we can't watch this.
And anime does 2 episodes. I think that's good because they do tend to like. Yeah, if they're going to put something weird in there, it's going to be the first couple episodes.
Yeah, I would watch 2 to 3 episodes of anything to see, like, 1, does this go anywhere interesting, and 2, what else is there anything weird here, and that's probably just a part of the way I've kind of programmed myself with these is this hits against things I would have been like, no, we're not doing this. So it's not bad. It's just not a.
One of the things I've always been critical of the previous media for Ghost in the Shell is I've always felt Major was very robotic.
Yeah.
And like I told you about, like somewhere I've got the idea that she was kind of goofy and sarcastic, like this.
Yeah.
I definitely think that the live action film is based off of the 1995 film. That's what it's based off of.
Yeah.
That's very clear.
Yeah,
I am wondering if we will see Motoko get broken, because I feel like the characterization of Motoko from the other media had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we're gonna watch her go from this like almost what's the word, where you're just where you're just focused on pleasure.
Yeah.
Like this she's this pleasure loving, pleasure seeking woman who's really enjoying her cyborg body, and see if she gets broken to the point to where she resents her cyborg body. I don't know if that's where it's going to go. I'd kind of like to see that. That would be interesting.
Yeah. I've always kind of assumed that the more robotic approach to her was kind of just based in your first introduction of this kind of material, at least for me, was like Terminator, where you had Arnold walking around, screen popping up. Did I say response A, B, C, or D? How robotic he was. That
Hedonist. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, she's definitely hedonist in this.
But
I
always
think,
felt like Major in the Ghost in the Shell previous stuff was kind of more just like what the Terminator would have been with better technology.
I definitely think there was an influence there.
Yeah.
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Cameron kind of set the standard for what a human machine is like.
Yeah.
And it kind of plays off of that.
I
could see that.
Probably a bunch of sci-fi from way
RoboCop.
Before,
come on.
Well, a bunch of written sci-fi probably from way before that probably covered that 30 times over before we saw it come around into Terminator. But all the Philip K. Dick stuff, and talk about people that were into prophecy.
Gee. Well, they're I don't know if I'm gonna get around to it, but there is a Neuromancer series coming out this fall.
Yeah.
So Phantom Fund is next.
Yeah, we've gotten through Robot Rondo, and
that looks kind of badass there, man.
Yeah, that's still my attraction to the series. Is I like how they're handling Batu. I know at the end of number 3, like he was like, I can't remember exactly how the conversation went. He was like mad he didn't get in the shootout when they were staking out that guy. I was like, that's Batu. Yeah. I love Batu.
All right, well that's Ghost in the Shell complete. Episodes 3 and 4.
All right. Later.